What's the name?
Erev Tov Lekulam. We're holding now, what is it, just 2 weeks away from Rosh Hashanah, right? So we really want to chaperan. We want to collect some mitzvot right before Rosh Hashanah. And we know Talmud Torah keneged kulam. So I think the most important mitzvahs that we can do right now before Shana is to learn Torah. We're holding today on page 35 in the Tzurba MeRabanan volume 12, Kriyat Torah. Or we did this 35 already. Oh, we did this. No, we're up to 39. I'm sorry, slicha, 39. Okay. Yeah. Okay, 39. Hilchot of Hagba. Okay, Hagba. Everybody knows about Hagba. Hagba is when you raise the Sefer Torah. Ravner is very good with Hagba, right? You see him do it, professional style.
It is. I was professional in Ashkenazi Shul.
That's right. I find the Ashkenazi Sefer Torahs are harder to do Hagba on.
We have one old one, big one, and learn.
I saw one time when a Sephardi picked up an Ashkenazi Sefer Torah. I think you were there when my father's Shul. He was trying to lift it off. He's supposed to take it off the bima, and then you lift it up, so it gives you a pivot. He tried to pull it off like that, and he broke the Eitz Hayim. He broke the wood. The wood came off. We had to get it refixed. So it's a challenge to take it off, pick it up, and then they have on Simchas Torah. Sometimes you see the way they take it, they flip it around like that in the air, and they show it that way. So it's right. So there's a whole thing to do it. So let's see a little bit about the mitzvah of Hagba. Page 39. HaMechaber kosev din ze koidem hilchos kriyas HaTorah. In the Shulchan Aruch, the laws about Hagba comes before the laws about reading the Torah. So the Mishnah Berurah explains why. Why is the laws of Hagba come before the laws of reading the Torah? Shekain minhag Sfaradim like bi koidem akriya. Because the minhag of the Sfaradim, which is what we do, we pick up the Sefer Torah before we read. That's what we do. That's why the Mechaber puts the Hilchot of Hagba before the Hilchot of Kriyat Torah. So Mishnah Berurah has to explain to the Ashkenazim because they do Hagba after. So he says the Mechaber wrote it because he's a Sephardi and he put it beforehand. Therefore, the Hilchot of Hagba comes first in the Shulchan Aruch. The Ramah on that spot says, "V'nogu lasot kan achar shekaru b'Torah." Here by Minhag Ashkenaz, they do Hagba afterwards. Now, I never knew the reason why. And here in the Peskei Teshuvot, he writes as follows: "In Shinu bin Ashkenaz Minhag Zeh." The Minhag Ashkenaz changed the Minhag, meaning it should have been beforehand. Peskei Teshuvot is saying this, but they changed it to do it afterwards. And now Ashkenazim do Hagba after the Kriya. Why? Listen to this amazing thing that happened. Ipnei Hamon Ha'am shechoshvim shiriyat haSefer Torah adifa min hakriya. People thought that looking at the Torah was more important than listening. A picture is worth more than 1,000 words, right? So they thought if I look at the Torah, it's more important than listening to it. So what happened? So they did Hagba before the Kriya, and then after they put down the Sefer Torah, Ozvim at the Bet HaKnesset, they left the shul. They did it. They saw it. They yotze their mitzvah and they walked out. Therefore, the minhag in Ashkenaz changed because the people were walking out of shul after Hagba, so they changed it to make Hagba after Kriyat Torah. Okay. But now we understand why they do what they do and why we do what we do. We do it beforehand. That was the original minhag. The original minhag was to do it beforehand. We Sfaradim still continue with that original minhag. But now Ashkenaz had to change it because of the Hamon Am, the people were acting incorrectly. We're going now to Masechet Megillah. Hagolelu notel schar kulan. It says, person who is golel, okay, glila, which usually means glila, which people understand glila means to close the sefer. Glila also can mean that you're opening it, that you're opening the parchment. Okay, and we're going to see that that's the way in Masechet Soferim actually means. It means to actually open it to show it to people. So he says, Hagolel rolls it up, no tel schar kulan. Damar Yeshua ben Levi, Asara shekaru b'Torah, Hagolel sefer Torah, kibel schar kulan. The person who is golel, the sefer Torah, he gets schar from everyone. Schar kulan sal kedata. You think he takes everybody's schar? He takes everybody's reward. Elaima kibel schar keneged kulan. Golel means to roll. He rolls the sefer Torah. We'll see what that means. Pashut people understand glila to mean you roll it up and you're closing it. We're going to see now the way Masechet Soferim understands what it means to do glila. Listen what it says. Miyad golel sefer Torah at shlosha dafin. You roll it 3 dafin. You'll see by the Ashkenazim, they try to always, when they do Hagba, they open it up 3 pages. That's what they try to do. Yeah. We only have 1 because of where our sefer Torah is in the box. But they try to open it 3 pages, right? Because the Masechet Soferim says, Miyad golel. As soon as you take out the Torah, right away you golel, you roll it, unroll it. Ad shlosha dafin. And it's that's we're gonna see. Sefer Torah ad shlosha dafin. Umagbiu umareh pnei ketivato la'am ha'omdim limino v'lismilo u'machziro v'panav v'lacharav. So Masechet Soferim says beferish that golel means to open up the Torah. It's not really closing it; it's opening it. That's what it means. Person who opens it to show. Person should look at the it's a mitzvah for women, men, everybody to look at the ksav, look at the writing, and to bow towards it, says the Masechet Soferim, and to say Bezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe b'fnei bnei Yisrael. Okay, so this comes from Masechet Soferim. So a few things interesting we found out over here. First of all, when the Gemara says the word goylel, it seems to be implying not closing up the Sefer Torah, but rather unrolling it, opening it up. And here it says to do shlosha dafin. Now, this kind of shows us that it wasn't always in a box, like the way we Sfaradim have it, because it would be quite impossible to open up 3 dafin in the way we have it cased. You can't open it to 3 dafin. You can't open it 3 pages. It's 1 page that shows. So it must be that in the time of the Talmud, it wasn't in a box, right? It was opened, like the Ashkenazim have the Torah, and you would open 3 dafin. We changed how you case the Sefer Torah. Okay, seems to be from the Talmud. Okay, now the Ramban over here, the Ramban is going to bring support for this practice from a midrash that a person has to say of Bezot Torah, you have to do Hagba. He says over here, Derech Haggadah. They said in a Aggadic interpretation, he doesn't stand up the Sefer Torah because he's worried that it might fall. Right? Someone who says, I'm not going to do Hagba because I'm scared it's going to fall. Yeah. He's not doing right. Yeah. He doesn't do like it says in Masechet Sefer to pick it up. He doesn't The Ramban says the same thing. So if someone doesn't pick it up, he's doing wrong. He's actually, if you look in the orange box right on top, he brings some Devarim 27, 26, where it says Arur, right? Arur Ish, who doesn't keep the Torah standing. The box right before the Ramban. You see the box right before source 39? Yeah. So he brings the pasuk in Devarim that says, curses the man who does not uphold the words of Torah. Yeah. He says that means a person who does not do Hagba. Shul that doesn't do Hagba. This is the Arur, what it means that he didn't stand up to Torah.
Everybody does that. No.
Right. So everyone does it nowadays. But apparently there were people back in the day that decided we're not going to do it. We're worried about it falling. We'd rather not do Hagba. This is Kitavo. Okay. Yeah, because we're up to 24 already, right? So right. The curses are this week. Right, that's right. The Teichacha is this week. Right. This is where they did the curses and the blessings. So it's this week's parsha. This week's parsha. Aro Adam. Lo yakim the Torah azot. This is the Ramban. This is what he says. He says if a person doesn't do hagwa, a shul doesn't do hagwa, this is what it means. They're Ara because they're not picking up. Yes, Avram.
Yeah, last week I was called out to pick up Agba.
Yeah.
And I told him I can't pick up because I had a shoulder pain.
Right.
What? Then if you neglect the mitzvah?
No, the shul did it in the end.
Yeah, they did it, but
okay, so that's fine. It's not that you have to do hagba; the shul has to get hagba done. It shouldn't be abolished. The thing of hagba. If you can't do it, you don't do it.
Right.
I once I was in a shul, but I'm always hesitant to pick up an Ashkenaz Sefer Torah. I don't know if it's too heavy, but once they told me in the Aguda, they said do it. I said I'm a little hesitant. I'm scared it's heavy. He's like, no, it's a very light Sefer Torah. So it was light. It was very easy. It was a light one to do, so I did it. But if you feel that you can't do it, say it. You can't do it.
You have to know technique, how to put your hand.
I find that a lot of times the Ashkenazic shuls, when they see a Sephardi, they think right away he's the keyboard and they give him to do the Agba.
Yeah.
They think he's strong. It's technique.
Yes. I'm here. And then you figure out.
So where do you put the weight on the thumb?
But the wood.
So you hold it up to the top of the wood.
Yeah, you go all the way.
You don't hold it from the bottom of the wood.
No, that's mistake.
You hold it from the top.
That's mistake.
Touching the wood from your
the
top.
Then all your muscles.
Say when you do the hagba, the Sefer Torah, the Ashkenaz, the wooden part over there should be touching your hand. That's the weight goes on that.
Till the end, and then you're gonna pick it up.
What I try to do is take it from the bottom.
This thing is gonna give you
support.
You know.
Yeah, a lot of people they don't know this technique. That's the problem.
Right, you take it out, then you down. Technique.
Everybody.
Okay, visit the show. Now we know. See, as we come to Shul, we figure out things. Okay, so the Shulchan Aruch, source 40. What does the Shulchan Aruch say? Shulchan Aruch says, "Mareh pnei kitivat sefer Torah la'am ha'omdim limino u'lismalo." You have to show the ksav of the Torah to every direction, the right, left, forward, backwards. It's a mitzvah on a woman, men, to look at the writing. V'lichroa means to bow to the Sefer Torah. Shulchan Aruch says to do that. Masechet Sofrim said to do that too. We do either the pinky or the hand, but we're going to see that Shulchan Aruch. So we just saw it when they're opening it to show the Torah. When we say Brich Shemay, we said the signal, we bow because we're saying that, but it says to bow when they're showing the Torah. Again, I'm going to read to you. You read, to see the writing, and to bow to it. And to say Torah Hashem Timimah. I know we don't say Torah Hashem Timimah when we pick it up. When he says it says Torah Hashem Timimah. This is what the Shulchan Aruch says to do. Okay. Here he brings the Mishnah Berurah writes that based upon Masechet Sofrim, that when performing Hagba, one has to open it 3 dafim. Right? Now, in the Sephardic Torah that we have today that's in the case,
1.
You can't open it more than 1. It opens to 1. The Mishnah Berurah cites the Magen Avraham, who suggests that it's not dafka 3, then doesn't must be 3, but rather it's better to be 3. But whatever a person can handle. Hamagbiya Sefer Torah Ma'al HaTeva Leherot La'am Golela Agimel Dafin Umagbiya. That's what the Masechet Soferim said. The Afsher, the Dafka Noked Gimel, it is possible that it should be exactly 3, but nearly the Magen Avraham says the Torah lefi koach magbiya sheyeh v'chloto lagbiya kishin niglelet harbe. And if you can do 8, you can do 8. If you can do 10, you can do 10.
Rabbi stopped me. Because I did 8. Somebody tried to do at least 5 or 6 about.
Torah. You
took
the bar 2 up.
Okay, you give more. But they cannot do that. Everyone wants sport.
Right.
says 12, it says here,
Ad Gimel Dafim.
Not more than 3.
You mean not more than 3?
Not more than 3.
But he's saying no. Maybe he can do it wider. It says lav dafka. It's lashon of lav dafka. Okay. Did I put it on record? Yeah, I did. Okay, fine. I have to check. All right. The Mishnah Berurah continues. Mishnah Berurah says.
Okay, Mr. Director.
Hamagbia. Okay, we read this part, right? Okay. Mishnah Berurah. Lirot haktav. Betov shireh haotiot achiyeh yachol likrotam. You have to look at the Sefer Torah when it's picked up. How close do you have to be?
Oh, that's good.
You have to be as close enough to be able to read the letters. You have to be able to actually make out the letters.
You cannot say with the Torah. You cannot say anything.
You have to be close enough to see the letters. Because the Mekubalim say that when you see the letters during Hagba, there's a special light that comes out, and it gives you a special bracha when you see that light. You don't do it, and your big shul's unfortunately too big. You can't see it then, right? You have to be close enough.
You Rebbe, 2,000 people. He did Hagba.
You can't.
You see the people.
But those who could, you could. Now, here he brings, I'm just going to sidebar over here in the Yalkut Joseph, he brings another sheet of how close you have to be. And he says, V'yesh nahagu lehistakel beteva shehi ha'ot harishona shel shemo ha'prati. That you're supposed to look at the first letter of your name. You're supposed to find a word that starts with the first letter of your name, and you look at that letter. So for me, my name is Moshe. So Moshe, it's, most of the Torah, you can find Moshe at every page. So it's easy to find. Yeah, I'm saying you can find Moshe the whole thing, but if you find the mem, yeah, but then I have to find the mem, right? The whole Sefer Bereshis is no Moshe. But okay, before Sfar, my name is there pretty much. But you have to really look. He says here, he said you should look at the letter that your name starts with. Because remember, it's an or gadol, right? It's a big light coming out. And your name is associated with your letter, and more light comes to you from that letter than any other letter. All the letters give you light, but the light of your letter is even bigger. So you want to try to get the light of your letter as much as possible. So, in our Shul Baruch Hashem, we're not, on most Shabbats, we're not so crowded. So you can come a little closer. You can see the Sefer from a little closer. Try to make out a letter of your name so you can see it. And this way you'll get this or gadol that comes out.
So if he's doing Hagba not so fast, like Ashkenazim, Sfaradim do, slow motion. It's okay, yeah?
Do it fast or to do it slow?
Slow.
You should do it slower to let everybody a chance to see. Yeah. So now that you mentioned this, I'm going to just 1 second before we go back to the Tzurba, I want to read another halacha here from the Yalkut Joseph. It says, "Nachon shekol echad mehakal yigash el sefer Torah kidei l'shekol b'yadav o b'piv." Everybody should come close to the Sefer Torah to actually kiss it. All right, either with your hand or actually with your mouth to kiss the Sefer Torah.
Yeah.
The case.
Touch the case.
Right, or the material around it when it's coming out. You should not take it to everybody and say kiss it, kiss it, kiss it, kiss it, kiss it. You shouldn't do. At the time you're going to the teva, a person should come closer and kiss it. You're allowed to go in a longer fashion to the teva. This way more people can kiss, but you can't go to each individual. Okay? It's not covered to the Sefer Torah, but the Sefer Torah to come to you. It's covered for you to go to the Sefer Torah. So therefore, I saw in some places people are very nice and they want to give everybody a chance to kiss it, and they come close to everybody and they kiss it. It's incorrect. It's not covered. You go up with the person, down with the person. No. What you could do is go a longer path. So you could take a little longer time, walk a little bit this way, walk a little bit that way, and then come back to the teva, but not stopping for everybody, but rather making a longer path so more people can get to it. Okay, I just wanted to mention that as well. Here in the bottom of the beige box, he says that the preference of seeing the letters in the Torah during Hagbah might indicate that it's preferable to make sure that one opens the columns of the Torah that contains the day's Kriyat HaTorah. You think you should open it up to where you're reading, right? This is generally the lechatchila what you should do, but it not necessarily has to be done that way. Meaning, if you did show a different part of the Torah, apparently Hagbah was yoitze. That's what he wants to say. We saw above in source 40, according to Shulchan Aruch, everyone should bow and recite V'zot HaTorah. He says there that this is indeed the Sephardic custom. Now, you guys all told me we don't do that. we're not bowing to the Zevah Torah. However, he says many Ashkenazim, you do bow? No, he's talking about during Hagbah. He's saying during Hagbah.
I know you have to bow down, but
he says many Ashkenazim do. Right, during Hagbah you should bow. That's Shulchan Aruch said, based on himself. However, he writes that many Ashkenazim do not have the custom to bow. And the response is response to Har Tzvi, Rav Tzvi Pesach Frank questioned this and tries to find some basis for this. So let's take a look. Actually, in note 27 here, he says some have a different custom to raise the pinky finger towards the Torah, and he brings this is based on Rav Chaim Palaji in Sefer HaHaim. Rav Chaim Palaji in Sefer HaHaim says to do the pinky. I told you other people haven't been had to put up the whole hand like a salute.
Moshe?
Sefer Minhagim.
Not the ring finger. Somebody rebuked me the Shabbat. They told me I did the pinky. They came up said I don't know what the source is. You have to do it with the ring.
So the source is Rav Chaim Palaji in Sefer HaChaim, chapter 3, Sif Parak 3, Sif 6 over here. You can see in note 27. That's the source.
You can use the pinky, right?
That's what Chaim Palaji says. Now I've seen people do a whole hand. Rabbi Eli Mansour actually, he in many shirim says you should use your whole hand. I forgot where he gets his source from, but the Al Yosef doesn't say how to pick up your hand to it. I went through it. I didn't see him talk about it. So if someone wants, I mean, this is all already, in the Masechet Sofrim, it doesn't say to pick up your hand at all. And Shulchan Aruch doesn't say to pick up your hand at all. Shulchan Aruch says bow. That's what Shulchan Aruch says. It doesn't say anything about putting your hand. Chaim Palaji says to put a pinky. So there's minhagim that developed over time. People do different things now. I don't think anybody should have rebuked you for using a pinky because the pinky has a clear source. Index finger, I don't know where that source is on the other side. Maybe he has a source. I don't know.
I heard the pinky when you do it through the pinky, it's as if you do tikkun for brit.
It's as if you're doing for brit. What does that mean?
Brit HaKodesh, you do tikkun for that. I don't know how they came up with this.
You're doing tikkun HaKodesh for the brit.
Right.
Hey, where did you hear that?
Someone told me in Shul. I don't know. I didn't question them. I'm just okay. That's why I want to confirm now because it's one this topic.
I don't know. It could very well be. I don't know. It's tikkun brit somehow. It's okay, possible. I mean, you have to remember. Gemara says when Yosef Atzadik was about to sin, in the end, it's shot out of his fingers, right? Instead of, I don't know. It's possible the finger is somehow related to that. Well, listen. Shulchan Aruch says bow. All the finger things is already later on.
Maybe motion?
Yes.
We usually say Torah Tzivalano. Not everybody says this. V'zot HaTorah. Like what they just mentioned. Most people just say Torah Tzivalano, Moshe.
Yeah, the Shulchan Aruch says to say V'zot HaTorah. Most of Durham say to say V'zot HaTorah. And I think it says V'zot Torah, and then Torah Tzivalano, Moshe Yaakov, and then all the and all the other psukim already come afterwards. But it seems to be, and even the Masechet Sofrim says V'zot HaTorah. So the actual pasuk that should be said is V'zot HaTorah. That's the original source. Everything is V'zot HaTorah. Okay. Shalosh Tshuva Har Tzvi, he says, "He never Shulchan Aruch Kosav Mechaber Shemitzvah Kol Noshim Noshim Nerota Ketav V'Lechroi V'Loimer." They should bow and they should say V'zot HaTorah. Uve'emet Ra'iti Harbe Anashim She'enim Nizarim Bazeh Ve'enim Korim. I saw a lot of people not being careful about this and not bowing when the Torah is being shown. V'lo Yadati Amahem Soimchim. I don't know what they're relying on that they're not bowing. Achriiti until I saw B'Shetei Giborim Kiddushin Pei Aleph. Shekatfu v'chayivim la'amod mipnei Sefer Torah im mipnei umdeya omdim mipnei lo kol shekain. If you have to stand because of the people who learn the Torah definitely have to stand for the Sefer Torah. It seems to be you only have to stand in front of the Torah. You don't have to actually bow. You don't have to bow down to the Aron HaKadosh. Then he says, the kind of lashon of the shitty word. Then he says, however, he says to him, to the Har Tzvi says, I don't think anyone should change from the Shulchan Aruch. Because that's what it says in Berich Shemei, that you bow towards the Torah when it's open. Right? That might be one of the reasons why we Sfaradim, when we make Berich Shemei, we actually open the Sefer Torah. We are able to open it. Because when you do the Segidna, when you bow, you're supposed to be bowing in front of the Torah. Perhaps that's where we do the bowing, is during Berich Shemei. It's based on the Zohar, the way he's saying it over here. So it comes out in the end of the day, you have to do Hagba. Originally, Hagba was done like we still do today, before the Kriyat. Okay? Ashkenazim do it afterwards because people thought the seeing is more important than reading it, and they left, so they do it afterwards now. Masechet Sofrim says you should open it up 3 dafim. So this is something that still Ashkenazim can do. We in our Sephardic Sefer Torahs cannot open the 3 dafim, so we only show 1 daf. Shulchan Aruch Masechet Sofrim says you have to bow and say V'zot Torah when it is being shown to everybody, and everyone has to see it. Now, I want to mention now another minhag not brought down in the Tzurba, but this is brought down in the Yalkut Yosef. It seems to be, he says here, this is a minhag Yerushalayim by the Sfaradim, and I've seen it done in many Syrian shuls. Yalkut Yosef seems to say this is a good minhag that people should follow. Now, here we don't do this. Maybe we should change. But let's see what he says. He says, you should really go with the Sefer Torah from the Aron to the Bima open. And you should walk to the teva with it open. When he comes back, he should take the shorter path to bring it back to the Sefer Torah. But he brings further on, he says the same thing should be done when you're bringing it back to the Aron. It should be open. In the Har Pshita. So this he says is the minhag. He brings it down that it's a minhag Yerushalayim. That's all he brought. On my side, I remember when I was in camp. I was in Camp Roshraga and it was getting Elul, and me and another chaver, a Sephardi guy, we wanted to go pray Selichot. So we ended up going to Camp Morris. Camp Morris has a big group of Syrians there from HaTorah, or Moshe Harari Rafu, Shlita, big tzaddik. He paid for us for the car service, take us from Roshraga all the way to Camp Mars. It was like $45, $50. It's going back a couple of years ago, 10, 15 years, what it was. And we came there to daven. So they gave me to do Hotza'ah. What do I know? I daven in the Bukharin Shul. You take out a Sefer Torah clothes and you bring it to the Aron. You bring it to the Bima, from the Aron to the Bima. I start taking out the Sefer Torah. All these Syrians jump on me and they open the Torah. I was saying, I'm like trying to balance the Torah like this because I wasn't ready for it. Then on the way back again, they opened it. So that was the first encounter to me when I saw people doing it open. So he said this is a minhag that people should know. This is what's done like that. Yes, Malkia.
Maybe it's because some people that don't know the halachot might touch the actual scroll, and which is not allowed. When they take it up, people like to kiss the Sefer Torah. They might touch the actual scroll, which is not allowed.
By us, we keep
I mean, if it's open. If it's open,
that's why we keep it closed. You're saying because people might come to touch it until we bring it to Bima. I mean, okay, I hear what you're saying. It's a good tzad. It's a good reason that we want to be careful. We don't want people to touch it. Okay, I can hear that. I think we do what we do because I think we have that's our minhag that was already in Bukhara and Samarkand and all those places. I think that was the minhag that we did, and that's what we did. And he says it's good to do it this way, but you don't have to do it. So, yeah.
I think how Syrians do it, they open it and they walk around with it. That's the proper way to do it.
Sounds good. I mean, because this way more people see it, and more areas see it.
Yeah, you walk around open, and that's
right.
This is also Minhag Yerushalayim.
Right, that's what he says, Minhag Yerushalayim. That's correct, Ariel. So perhaps if you have the power to establish it in your shul without a machlokes, without people arguing about it, and it's probably a good thing to go ahead and do. But if people are going to make a whole protest, better leave it as it is. So it's better not to make a
And by Mordechai, we did it 2 times, 3 times.
And then what happened?
And then we stopped it.
And then he stopped again. Yeah, I believe my father should also at some point he tried to do it, and people weren't used to it, or what? Or they did it twice now. They did it on the way, and then they did it again at the bima. And I was like, with more hagbo, because it's considered hagbo already. You already did hagbo, bringing it out, and then you do it again. All right, they're different minhagim on this. Yes, Ishmael.
Didn't mention here.
Yeah.
I want to mention.
Sure.
The Ashkenaz, when you make a tegila, when you open the sefer, you have to be the steam.
Has to be in the middle.
If there's something that happened, it's not going to rip. So
it rips. Okay, so Rav Shmuel says that when Ashkenazim do hagbo, when they open it to the 3, they try to make the seam, the place, the stitch between the 2 pages of the Sefer Torah, that should be in the middle. So if Has Shalom, something happens, it'll be split at one point. When you close it up also, it should be on the seam. Okay. If you're doing it strong enough, it might separate the 2. That's number 1. Oh, yeah, number 2. Right, then it's an easy stitch. You don't have not something else happen. Right.
The seam is going to open, so nothing happens.
You just stitch it up, right?
That's it.
Second
one, I'm sure that the Rabbi already.
So right, he also brings it.
I know I cannot woman. It says here the Anashim and Nashim.
Right.
To look at the Excel.
Right.
The woman in a certain time of the month, they're not allowed to look at the Sefer Torah.
So he brings here about the woman. And he says, I saw he brought down. Okay, here he raises follows. Very good. I actually circled it and I forgot to mention it. It's also a mitzvah on the woman to look at it. And the woman should also get up and they should say, HaTorah. And women who are nida, mutar lahem listakel b'sefer Torah. Mutar lahem listakel b'sefer Torah. They are mutar to look at the Torah. However, they shouldn't walk into the men's side. You can know it's not because I've seen it happen. If you have a shul on one floor, like over here, like we have, sometimes the women want to get closer to the Torah. They just walk out. They want to come closer. I've seen it happen. They want to come out. You remember? Yosef, you remember? You remember the ladies coming out? Yeah, you remember they used to come out and my father said, back up. And she coming out, my father says, back up. Okay. Then he says, Umikol makom, reshut lachmir al atzman, shelo hikanes labet knesset, shelo lachod b'sefer Torah, shelo yistakel b'sefer Torah be'et shemarim oto le'am. When they're showing it to that. So he says the nidot, they could be machmir and not go into the shul, not look at it, not touch it. There is a shita to be machmir like that, but he does say that it is mutar mikra din for them to look and to do. But yes, he does bring your point here. Very good. Shkoyach for mentioning the task. Thank you. Okay, now now we're going to come to another din. This din is something very important. People believe if they make a minyan anywhere, they can take a Sefer Torah to wherever they're making a minyan. Right. We're going to see now, this is not so pashut. This is not so simple to just take out a Sefer Torah to anywhere you want to go. They brings here Yerushalmi. By the way, this Yerushalmi, the way that Tzurba is bringing it down, the Alkut Yosef says that's not the girsa that we have. That we have a different girsa that says both of them is asur. But let's see what the girsa here he brings, the version that he brings over here from the Yerushalmi. He brings here in source 44. Everywhere you say that one goes to the Torah, but here concerning the Torah regarding by the Yom Kippur, by the Kohen Gadol,
you say that one brings the Torah to him. Usually it says you have to go to the Torah. You don't bring the Torah to the person. That's why you're not allowed to go to everybody and give him the kiss. You have to come to the Torah. You can't bring it to him, except by the Kohen Gadol. Why? Since they're chashuv people, the Torah is honored when it goes to them. That's the way this Yerushalmi comes down. The way he brings down the Yerushalmi here is you can only bring a Sefer Torah to somebody who's an Adam Gadol, because then it's covered through the Adam Gadol. Whereas a regular guy, you can't bring it out for. The Yalkut Yosef here, we're going to see, he says, according to the Girsa that we have, it says, even for an Adam Gadol, you're not allowed to bring it out. That's the way Chamavad Paskin, that even for an Adam Gadol, you're not allowed to bring it out separately for him. Let's see over here from the Mordechai, the Rishon Mordechai. He says as follows: Matzati b'tshuva achad lebnei Adam achvushim bebeit ha'asurim who are locked up in jail. En mevi'in etzlam sefer Torah afil b'Rosh Hashanah b'Yom Kippurim kidamrim Yerushalmi. The Mordechai says that if you have people locked up on jail on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, the most highest of holidays, you're still not allowed to bring a sefer Torah to them. Sefer Torah cannot be brought out to people. We're going to see. There's a way out there. There's a way out there. The Igros Moshe Al Yosef gives a heter for Shabbat Hatam. We're going to see. Don't get excited yet. So far, this is the Mordechai. Now let's take a look at the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch pretty much says same thing. Bnei Adam achavushim beit ha'asurin and meviim etzlam sefer Torah afil b'Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippurim. If people are stuck in jail, you cannot bring a Sefer Torah to them. You don't take out a Sefer Torah to people. Now the Ramah says, and this is something already that this is one of the ways out. Behind dafka b'sha'at Kriyat levad. This means you're not allowed to bring it out, especially at the time of reading for them. Which means if I would take an aron or a box or anything and put the Sefer Torah there before the Shat Kriyat, before the time it was for reading, that's already a way out. That's a lot of the poskim use as a way to bring a Sefer Torah somewhere, is to not bring it at the moment of reading, because that's not covered. All of a sudden, I need a Sefer Torah. Now I bring it here. You make a place for it and you station it there and you put it there. That's already a way out, a way easy, a way to heter to have. I am Dr. B'Shadek Pir Levad. You brought it a day or 2 days before, it's mutar to bring it, the Ramah says. In fact, the price can say later, doesn't even have to be a day before, the day of, just not at the time of reading. Before reading, hour before, 2 hours before you bring it, that's already enough. So we have to see about here. This is like a sad room. This might be a little different. You bring it upstairs. We'll see. Okay. It seems from the Ramah, and then he says, then the Ramah adds on, he has the Girsa, the way the Tzurba brought the Yerushalmi, and he says, V'imhu Adam Chashav, the Chol Inyan Shari. And if he's an Adam Chashav, so you have Gadol Dar, he's traveling, Rosh Hashiva is traveling, Adam Gadol, you're allowed to take a Sefer Torah anywhere for an Adam Gadol. So the Ramah gives you two heter. The Ramah gives you a heter. A, if you bring the Sefer Torah there early, he says a day or 2 days before. I told you others say even an hour or 2 hours before, as long as it's not at the time of Kriyat, that's already okay. And the second heter he brings, based on the way the Yerushalmi is being brought down over here, is that if it is for an Adam Chashiv, you're allowed to do that. Here, I'm going to read now from the Yalkut Yosef just for a moment. And they have to know for us who follow the Yalkut Yosef. And he says, people who are locked up in jail, you don't bring it for them a Sefer Torah, even Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, va'afilu im hanimtza bebeit hasur hu adam hashuv ein lahatir bazeh. The Yalkut Yosef says the heter of based on the Yerushalmi and the Ramah of an adam chashiv doesn't work. You don't take it out for them. And he brings over here that this is based on the Girsa that we have of the Yerushalmi. And he says, and you see the Shulchan Aruch doesn't talk about an Adam Chashiv. He wants to say the Shulchan Aruch agrees to this, that you don't take it out to an Adam Chashiv. So you already have this machlokes seems from Matzi Yehuda says this of the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch is arguing with the Ramah. The Ramah is arguing with the Shulchan Aruch about an Adam Chashiv. That heter is a machlokes about that for an Adam Chashiv. Anything. The guy's traveling. The Rosh Hashiva is traveling. No, he's traveling. He's b'derech. Interesting though. Remember the Arizal when he davened outside the shul, he never took a Sefer Torah with him. Remember that we had the Arizal. 30 days he was davening outside of the shul, whatever it was. He didn't take a Sefer. He didn't read from the Sefer Torah. He held that you don't take a Sefer Torah out of the shul. We'll have to see. If you have the Ramaz heter, if you take it there a day before, you have a heter according to the Ramaz. No, so the Yalkut Yosef is not going to argue on that part of the Ramaz. That seems to be that Ramaz heter of bringing it before seems to be an all-out heter. That's what he seems to be saying. The problem is taking it out from other chashav for Shatat Kriyat. All of a sudden, it's a Shatat Kriyat, time to read, and now you want to take a Sefer Torah. That he says is a problem. So you could take it to jail a few days before, according to the Ramah. You would be allowed to. In fact, today, most jailhouses, Eretz Yisrael for sure, they have shuls in the jailhouse. So you have a makom for the Sefer Torah. You're not bringing it out just for the prisoners, so you can keep a Sefer Torah there. That's not a problem. The problem would be if there's no Sefer Torah there and you want to bring it now at the time of reading. Upstairs, we have to talk about that in a minute. So you have a side room in the shul or something like that. We'll have to deal with that.
What about Parsha Zachor?
What about Parsha Zachor?
Is it a higher level than Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur? Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is the
you're saying
this is the
saying that he has a mitzvah to hear it.
Yeah, if there's somebody in jail and they really want to fulfill the mitzvah, they're all right. Can we bring them even if it's during the reading? Or
I don't see them making a distinction at this time. Let's see what we get through. I don't see them making a distinction. Let's take a look. It's a very good question, Malkiel. It's a very good question because it's a mitzvah d'oraita to hear that. Maybe we should be more mekel. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so the Mishnah Berurah says someone who's locked up in jail. Same thing if he's sick. Then he says right here from the Mishnah Berurah, over Parshat Zocher, Shehu d'oraita, bevada yesh lahakel. To hear Malkiel, you're mechadish from Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah says Parshat Zocher, you're allowed to be mekel and take a Sefer Torah out. Okay, the Efsher, the hu halacha gam b'Parshas Parah, and might be the halacha in Parshas Parah also, because it's also could be considered d'oraita. There are opinions that it's all the four, but Parshas Parah more than the others that it can be considered. Maybe also you can do that. So Mishnah Berurah says your case, Malkiel, and he says it's mutter. Okay, so it'll be mutter for that. Very good. Ein mevin kidei likros ba ba'asara v'atam shezilzul Sefer Torah lo licha el nashim shetzrichen lo ki kavoda sheilchu anashim aleya. The reason why you're not allowed to take it out to people is because it's not covered to take it out to people. Rather, it's covered. People come to it. Now he says, "Umasha holchem beit knesset minyan anoshim leeza bayit beit v'nosin Sefer Torah imahem kidei likot sham vada ein anochim." What they do, they take out a Sefer Torah and read it in someone's house. It's not correct. You can hear it in the shul. It's possible because Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, people want to make their own minyan, so they all can get an aliyah. He seems to be saying that's not good. Just because you want to make a separate minyan, shouldn't be taking out a Sefer Torah to them. We're party of Imanarayim, Sheminahag Lemachar Mitzvot, Apirov, Gormin Bezeh, Hefsel, Lachnasa, Lachsos Shadaka. If you're going to take people out of the shul, the bidding on the prices are going to go down. And then the shul is not going to be able to make the money that he needs to make, the tzedakah that he needs to support everything. Achen, im gam heim b'chrin mitzvot, umetre al yedezeh knasa shel tzedakah, mistaber shein lahachim bezeh. But if this separate minyan that's breaking away for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, they're going to collect tzedakah, they're going to give that tzedakah to the people, maybe it should be mutter. He says rather what they should do, like the Ramah says, to bring it beforehand. Bring it the day beforehand. Don't just bring it on the day right at the time of reading. Rather bring it beforehand, station it, put it in a place, make it a makam for it. Okay? So this seems to be the heter over and over again. You're going to see. Even if it's that day, it doesn't have to necessarily be a day before. If It has to be before Zman Kriya. You have to take it up there before Zman Kriya. The Az Einu Menakir Shehevasa Hayitzarech Kriya Levad El Shekava Dirta Bekan La'oitaz Man. So it doesn't look like you're just bringing it there to read. Rather, you're having a place for it. So the best thing to do is to have a place for the Sefer in that place you're going to read it outside of the shul. It should be a makam and aron, and it should be placed there before the tefillah, preferably a day or two before, but at least before an hour or two before the tefillah starts, or right before the tefillah starts, so it doesn't look you're bringing it just for those people. Now, the emu adam chashiv, remember the Ramah, and the way they're learning the Yerushalmi is that it permits it by a adam gadol to take out a sefer Torah to them. This means gadol b'Torah. When you bring it to these chashuv people, you're not embarrassing the Torah to bring it to an adam gadol. Other it's more coveted to the Torah. Even if he's not an honest, you're allowed to read it. But it's best to prepare a place. So again, they want to rely on that heter of preparing a place beforehand. That's the better heter to use. And we saw from the Al Yosef already that he does not hold of the Adam Chashuv heter. He does. We're going to see he does hold of the preparing a place beforehand. He holds of that heter as well. And when he said Adam Chashuv in any place, according to the Ramah, you're allowed to bring a Sefer Torah to an Adam Chashuv, even if you didn't prepare a place for it. So far, we came out. You can't just take it out from anybody. It's a zilzul to the Sefer Torah. The Ramah has the Adam Chashuv heter based on the way they're learning the Yerushalmi. We, as Sfaradim, do not have that heter of an Adam Chashuv. But the Ramah's heter, preparing a place beforehand, the day or two before, and the Achronim now say it means before the Tefillah at least, that would also be a heter. Now, the Bir Halacha, which is the Chafetz Chaim, he writes the discussion above concerns a case of one individual. But if 10 are unable to attend the shul, such as they have all been placed in jail or in all isolation, they're all COVID together, right? In the COVID ward. Everybody has COVID, all in isolation together. Then, it's for the case study. Then there is a room to be lenient to bring a Sefer Torah without any special arrangements. He says, in practice, near the Fila Mordechai, the Asr Fil Ba'onis, Ein Malik Kiyem Beyachidim, Chavushim Beroitzim Lahachnif Asar Sham L'Kriyat HaTorah, Bezeh Asr. This is the Asr, which is not like the Or Zerua, which permits it for a sick person to gather 10. Umitam de min hadin yesh lamer de ein chal al yochid mitzvah kriyat HaTorah b'zman she'ein yochel echa b'samedrash. Because we already learned last week that is not halacha. We learned that there's no din for a yochid to hear the Torah. The din is on the tzibur to hear the Torah. So therefore, for one person, you shouldn't take out a Torah. But if you're having a minyan there, so now there's a chiyuv on the minyan to hear the Torah. Al k'shiyesham asar keeping the chaleim chovat kriya. They cannot go to the shul. They can't. Either they're in jail or they are in isolation. They're not allowed to go to the shul. So it's not like a case that you could go to shul. Because then if you could go to shul, definitely you cannot bring it out. But if you can't go to shul, it comes out that maybe the Mordechai would also hold that in such a case where people are stuck and they can't go anywhere else, then you would be permissible to bring a Sefer Torah to them. Okay, so summarize. Here the Tzurba summarizes now the opinions over here. He says some authorities disagree with the Mordechai and permit bringing a Sefer Torah to individual in case of onus. And yeah, that's the Or Zarua. Therefore, one may be leaning for Pashat Zachar and Pashat Para. That's what we already saw in the Mishnah Berurah, right? That's what he said for Pashat Zachar, Pashat Para. It's already a chiyuv on an individual, and you're allowed to bring it out. The reason for this halacha is that it is degrading to the Torah to be brought to people to hear it. Rather, people have to come to it. One may be leaning to bring a Sefer Torah to a house minyan on Rosh Hashanah if those participating in it will give their money to tzedakah, so that tzedakah will not be lost from the shul. One may bring a Sefer Torah out of shul if it remains designated place for at least a day or two, or even if it's brought shortly before the minyan starts. This is the heter that everyone uses. As long as it's there before the minyan starts and it's housed somewhere, that would be okay. One may be lenient to remove a sefer Torah from shul on behalf of a adam chashiv, according to the Ramah, according to Shnazim, and one may be lenient with a group of individuals who are unable to hear the Torah in the shul.
And what about on Simchat Torah, where they take out the Sefer Torah to a restaurant to make a whole party out of the shul, out of the location that same day, not the day.
Reading it or to make a party? To read it?
No, to dance with it, to make a party.
We're gonna see. The Yaakov says it's mutter. He says it is mutter. Even the hakafot, the second ones that come after Simchat Torah, the night reading,
after
the music,
it ended,
and all that stuff, brings the heter there also because it's covered at tzibor, it's covered at Torah. There is permissibility to it, but he does say there very importantly to make sure that everything is kosher there, that the dancing is kosher, the music is kosher, the cover is kept. You shouldn't give it to children to play around with and dance with and stuff like that. It has to be done respectfully. But he does bring that. We're going to see that. He brings this down here. Okay. The Piskei Teshuvah mentions another practical obligation of this halacha, namely moving Sefer Torah from one room to another in shtibulach. Okay. So this would possibly infer as well going from upstairs to downstairs, bringing the Sefer. So a shtibulach. So you ever down in a chassidish place, like in the down in Statmer, and they have like this chadarim, right? All these room after room after room. We down in Vision some months here, like 1,000 rooms there, and every minute, every place another minion. If you're really running late, you chop a Baruch Hu here, Kriyat here, Nagdishach here, and then you walk out. Okay.
The minyan factory.
Avenue P also you can do that at B'nai Yosef. Let's try to Avenue P. ולכן, אותם בנתיקן said, שקיים בהם שטיבלוך, צריכים לעשות השתלדות גדולה, שיהיו ספרי תורה בארונות קודש בכל חדר וחדר. למען לא יצטרכו לטלטל הספר תורה מחדר לחדר כשצריך לעבור דרך פרוזדור. You don't want to take Sefer Torah from room to room when you have to walk through the hallways. It's not covered. Take it from room to room to read it. Rather, each room should have an aron, and each room should have a Sefer. This way, it's covered for the Sefer Torah. What? Okay. Some poskim, such as the Beit Shlomo, cited in the Dirshu Disham Mishmara, are lenient concerning a room in Sefer Torah where all the rooms used for Kriyat Torah are in one building, which would include most shuls or shtibula. So the Beit Shlomo allows you to take a Sefer Torah from one place to another, as long as it's in the same building. In addition to the cases mentioned where removing Sefer Torah is permitted, poskim also enumerate other cases where halacha is lenient. The Piskei Teshuvah cites poskim who are lenient on Simchat Torah to organize breakout minyanim. The minhag is minhag beautiful of Aklai Yisrael. Simchat Torah, you give everybody an aliyah. You give everybody an aliyah in the main shul. It's going to take a very long time, and the people can't wait. So you're allowed to make a breakout minyan, and for the reading, to take the reading to another room and to do the reading so everyone gets an aliyah. So he says over here, "Rak b'simchat Torah, rak b'simchat Torah, mekilim bazeh v'noagim l'tutu sefer Torah memakom makom kidei she'el l'chol hatzibur efshut la'alot l'Torah." You want everybody to get an aliyah, so Simchas Torah, you're allowed to. V'achar Kriyat, ma'achzim sefer Torah b'tekneset v'ishtadlu l'sha'asar anashim yilvu t'sefer Torah b'hotzata v'achzarata. This is another very important thing. If you're moving a sefer Torah from place to place, ideally 10 people should move with it. 10 people should move with it. That is the ideal way of doing it. That's the correct way of doing it. But that's the way it should be done. If you're moving a sefer Torah from one place to another place, it should be moved with 10 people. He's talking from makom to makom. Now he's talking about taking out to the chotzer. It's like we have sometimes here. It's a good weather, and we don't have enough space in the shul. We go out and we do hakafot outside, and we make the dancing outside. It's mutar because this is now for the kavod of the Torah. He says over here Now, this is your question over here, Rabbi Yosef Chaimov. You asked about Shabbat Hatan. Can he take out a Sefer Torah outside for Shabbat Hatan? Maybe it's not covered, maybe it is. So here the Igros Moshe says he had this question. It was brought to him, Shabbat Kodesh Toledot, 5684. They wanted to take a Sefer Torah, a bit to Hatan. V'horeti Shirsha'in. I said they're allowed to. Just the mafti al zeh shno hagim some chatar li kach sefer Torah lo makom achli kar machmas shirot son kol echad la oilat la Torah u vet knesset to tirch gedala. It's tzibur v'legam kain ach shirotzim kol kar ve'achatam kol alot la Torah. He says everyone wants to go up to get an aliyah when it's a chatan and kala, right? Everybody wants to get an aliyah. So you're going to go to the main shul and everyone has to go. And this amak and this techoi and this guy and the cousin came from Israel. And the second cousin, and everybody's here now. Everybody's getting aliyah. It's going to be a whole tircha de tzibura. So gather, go take a sefer Torah like you do on Simchat Torah outside, and that you can do. Then he says, "Gam kein roshayin dezeh nichshav gam kein lechavod Torah." It's considered kavod Torah. Shkol echad rotzeh la'alot Torah b'yom simcha u'bebeit knesset tircha gedol tzibura. Everyone wants to get a cover to Torah. Everyone wants to give cover to Torah. Everyone wants to go up there. The gam samachti demachmas shechatan doimel melech. Nichshav Adam Choshev the Shari Ledida Kedisa Barchaim Saif Simon Kuflaminei L'chein Ein Lahachmer the Choshechain Shein Limchot. Therefore, don't be machmer and say it's awesome. Take a Torah to a restaurant where you're making Shabbat Chatan or in the house or wherever. There's plenty of reasons to be makel. Now, from all these reasons, the only reason Chamavad would not agree with would be the Adam Choshev part, because first of all, there are reasons to say that. He's first of all, Chatan Kemelech, he's not actually a Melech. B, Yaakov holds that Adam Chashav is not a reason to matir taking it out. So the best way to do it again would be to take it before the Kriyat. You bring it there before, and you bring something to put it into, ideally, and that's the way you'll have the heter of the Ramah. You don't have to rely on all these other things. And even if you didn't have the heter of the Ramah, the Ramosha matir it to take it out. To Shabbat Chatan, because it's out covered like Simchat Torah. What does the Yalkut Yosef say about Shabbat Chatan? Yesh mekamot shenogim l'tov tzibur bet Chatan b'Shabbat shebatoch shevet yemei mishta shel Chatan. During Shabbat of Sheva Brachos, they muvin l'sham me'erev Shabbat Sefer Torah. He says his lashon. They bring you there before Shabbat. U'meyachadim loy aron, and they leave there an aron. Right, shel cover Sefer Torah. That's covered Sefer Torah. Kedei l'korban Shabbat. And you have those who do this way. Which heter is he using? In the Ramaz heter of making a place for it beforehand. That's the heter. That's the heter that everyone uses, is making a place for it beforehand. That's the cover that you give to the Sefer Torah.
They don't have our. They don't have our.
Right. They have.
They don't have.
So they should.
They don't have.
I know.
This cover says
In Simcha Palace, right? In Simcha Palace. On Main Street, downstairs they have an aron and everything. They have. So some places have. People know what to do. They do. In the Millennium, by Rabbi Avner, they have in the youth meeting also. They put up in the restaurant. They have an aron there. People know what to do. They put an aron. So you bring an aron. You can rent an aron. You can get. If you know what to do, you can get. I remember when we used to daven. My father started the shul. We didn't have an aron yet, and we were just starting. We were just getting people and stuff like that. It's going back 25 years now. And Shomer Shabbos used to be there. Shomer Shabbos had the small arons upstairs, and you could rent it. They charged you at that time $50 a day. I know because I used to pay for it. My father used to send me to pay for it. And then me and my brother would carry the aron to the shul, which was around the corner from Shomer Shabbos, and we used to put it up. And so you had an aron for the Sefer Torah. That's the way it should be done. Okay, let's take a look at the Yalkut Yosef here. Source 52. Yesh lahakel la'avi Sefer Torah v'hanicho bebeit ha'avel. You're allowed to bring the Sefer Torah to the Beit HaAvel. Today, Shekru bo b'shem chamishi u'viprat, and especially in Yached lo aron b'teva. You put there an aron on the table. You put a place for it. Has to be b'derech eretz. Has to be with cover. Of im lo hevir Sefer Torah to Beit HaAvel. If you didn't bring a Sefer Torah to the Beit HaAvel, v'chshegiu atzibur kriyat Torah b'emtza tefillah b'mei shem chamishi ein lahatir lelech b'levi Sefer Torah lebeit HaAvel kedei l'korbo. Now you cannot bring it. If you're in the middle of davening, you have to Kriyat Torah, now you want to bring it. That is the zilzul. That is the embarrassment for the Sefer Torah. And now that you need him, all of a sudden you bring him. That's the zilzul. Because around the Yalkut Yosef, Chamaji says the Adam Choshev is not a heter. So therefore, if he's Adu Chashiv, you can't bring it. L'chshein Sefer Torah Beit Ha'avel. Manigenu our minhag pasha sha'achar kamar tefillah v'meishen chamishi hochel Beit Knesset v'karim Sefer Torah b'brachot. You should all go to, if there's no Sefer Torah in the Beit Ha'avel, you all go to the Shul and read the Sefer Torah with the brachot. Bein Ha'avel halachimohim, but the Ha'avel doesn't go with them. The einam yochlim lasot ken umekelim bazeh yesh lehem amash yismachul. But if they cannot go, they have what to rely on because Kriyat HaTorah is not a din al yachid. That's last week, right? It's not on you to hear it, rather on the tzibur. Once you put all the shittas together, it all works out. It's all very clear. Okay, now he brings. But here I put down to look at 13 also. The Yaakov says, "Misha makshim imenu lahashlim minyan v'eta avel v'ayidei kach yavsa shmiyat kriyat Torah." If someone's asked to come join a minyan avel, and they have no Sefer Torah, he's going to miss Sefer Torah. What should you do? Should you go to the Shul Sefer Torah? You should go help out the base avel. It's better to go daven in the Beit Ha'avel. After ain't sham Sefer Torah, but the Gmol in my Avelim Chesed to make Chesed to the Avelim. And then you don't have to go and hear the Sefer Torah afterwards, because again, it's not a din al yachid.
The whole tefillah is the Rabbanan. Over here is Chesed Doraita.
Right.
So
you make the cheshbon, you do the whole right. He says, but then he says, the person who is machmer and goes to Sefer Torah afterwards will get a special good bracha. So that's the way to look at things. Let's do the Shal Tshuva Yibi Omer in source 53. He says, "Hamura mikol ha'omer shemuter lo yitzid sefrei Torah mibeit Knesset l'rechova shel ir b'yom simchat Torah." You're allowed to take it out to the streets at Simchas Torah, with Simcha, with Shirim, with Rikudim, and happiness and song and in dances, with Mechiot Kapayim, with Chodesh Torah. You're allowed to clap on Yom Tov on only Simchat Torah. You're allowed to clap.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Simchat Torah is Kavod Torah. Everything mutar. V'chein yesh lahater la'asod kem v'motzei Simchat Torah la'akafot shniyot. This is what Malkiel, your question was before. This is it. That even for the second hakafot that you do after Motzei Hachag, in Kleisher, Bikol, Rina, V'toida, Hamoin, Choygeg, Ovuvad, Sheyuz Zehirim, B'chavod, Aroyel Sefer Torah. As long as you're careful with the kavod of the Sefer Torah. So this is the dinim that we came out with. We still have some time. We're not done yet. I wrote down here some stuff I wanted to look at. Let me see what we brought on. Right? We have 12 minutes. Let's just finish up here. This we did already. By Kotel, you have permission to take the Sefer Torah from minyan to minyan, right at the Shat Kriyat. So HaTorah over there. You don't have to bring it before the tefillah. I don't know the rationale for this, but it seems to be by the Kotel. It's all makom. It's one big place, right? Okay, now this is another one I thought was very interesting. The shul has a huge sukkah and davening inside the sukkah. Now you want to bring it from the shul to the sukkah, the Sefer Torah. They have what to rely on to take it out to the sukkah, right? Seems part of the shul. And especially if you do the covet of walking with 10 people to the Sefer Torah. That seems to be the way to give the kavod. If you have to move the Sefer Torah, it should be done with 10 people. What is shufi? Shofi? Easy. So if it's in the same reshut, okay, so this is what he says over here. Okay, anything else? What did I put here? 19. We talked about it. When you have a sefer toy, when you're making the achnasat sefer Torah, he says here there's a minhag. Says the Torah Maharei Kodesh to take out all the Sefer Torah to greet the new Sefer Torah. The Gamkein Mutar. And there again he brings about the Simchat Torah. Okay, so this is what we came out. Halacha l'maisa. Halakha l'maaseh. You have to take a Torah out to another place. The best way to do this is to take it out before the tefillah starts and to make a makom there to put the Sefer Torah. Should be preferably in an aron. Should be on, right? Should be 10 tefachim high on a separate table, and then should aron the small box, or you can make a whole aron there, whatever it is. But it should be there in the box before tefillah. Because if you take, it should be done here as well. If you're davening upstairs and it's a regular Shabbat, and we don't need all the Sefer Torah for us, we should, preferably, if you have to move it, you should walk with 10 people. Okay? But what should be done, so I believe Rav Daniel has an aron in his house. Maybe he can bring it and put it up there. They put an aron there. Okay. So they should take the sefer before tefillah starts, and this way, all these problems won't happen. Because good. So maybe this week he forgot. Okay, it happens. Okay, so we'll make sure. Tzaddik, now you know. So this week you're gonna go over to him before tefillah starts upstairs, and you tell him. Don't tell him that. You're gonna forget by then. On Shabbat itself, you go, tell him you took the Torah up yet? And if you said no, you take the Torah and take it up. That's it. You do it. Okay? Yeah. Ask Reb Tzion which territory you're taking up for him and take it up. And this way you leave the Torah with the Aron. This is the kavod of the Torah. That's the heter that's down the line that you can use. The other heterim were Simchat Torah and Simchat Katan v'Kala. There seems to be heterim as there as well. Just let's do the machshava from Rav Yosef Soloveitchik. I'm just asking, yeah, for the Avelim. Right. They're able to give out.
להגיד לזכותם של המסעסקים, בזכות the founder, just this last Friday,
Oh, wow.
Yankee Meir.
Oh, I saw him. Okay, so he's the head of the Misaskim.
הוא המציא את המסעסקים. I remember when I did it, this guy, he was busy, chesed, 24/7. 24/7. He was Misaskim. He founded the Misaskim. Okay, it's a lot of.
Misaskim is that when a person loses someone, they come and they help them with the chairs, with the aron, with the signage,
everything,
with Siddham, everything.
Okay, he was a Tzurba member. He was everything from Kaddish. He was everything. You name it. Everything. It's.
He should continue to be a Melit Yosha for us now that he's in Shemayim. Okay, yeah. Rav Yosef Doiv Soloveitchik, source 54. Source 54 in Machshava. Listen to what he says, what Kriyat Tzibur is. Der Torah b'tzibur. Listen to what Rav Yosef Soloveitchik says. Kriyat Torah b'tzibur ba lo rak l'shem limud. It's not just to learn Torah. Ki imgam l'shem sidur pigisha im ha'elokim. He says it's a meeting, it's a date with Hashem. Every time the Torah is being read in the shul, it's like you're having a date with Hashem. You're having a meeting with Hashem. Like Hashem gave the Torah b'Sinai. Every time the Torah is being read, it's as if Hashem is giving it again on Sinai. Kol kriya v'kriya hi matan Torah hadash. It's a new matan Torah. You understand that we're standing in matan Torah every time we hear the Torah. People will take it. Whatever. We're not going to tell you what people do. Right before Shana, I don't want to say anything. It's like it's giving again at the mountain with fire. It's a wondrous things that are going on. Every time you're taking out Torah and you're reading from it, you're having another revelation of Sinai. Again, you're having the prophecy that everyone had in Sinai. All that Hashem spoke is happening every time you're reading a Torah. That's how you have to understand reading a Torah. Now, take it serious business here. He says again, Rabbi Soloveitchik says in his other Sefer Shirim, L'Zecher Abba Mori, he says over here, Kriyat Torah b'tzibur zahaya im chavayit amida l'pnei shechina kimamad har Sinai. He says again, it's like standing in front of Har Sinai. Again, you're meeting with Hashem. You have to stand as if you're right now getting Torah from Sinai. That's what you have to be. The pachad, the kolot of rakim, kol shofar hazak mihod, as if there's shofar and everything going on, everything that happened. That's the way you're supposed to be hearing the Torah. Here he says in the beige box that Tzurba adds on, Consequently, he says we certainly would not want to squander the opportunity by spending the time speaking with others or engage in other tasks, of which we're going to learn soon is very, very either not permitted or very much frowned upon. Rather, we must focus our energy on listening to the Torah being read and imagining that we are receiving the Torah on Har Sinai again. May we all merit to achieve this lofty level, this high level. Okay, we're going to end the shir over here. Any questions we'll take at this point. Anyone have any questions, anything to add? Right. So there's machlokit, and let's talk about it. When the Yalkut Yosef from Chamavadia, Mr. Yosef brings down that it is permissible to take out the Sefer Torah for the Nashim to read Parshat Zachor, even though technically they don't have any chiyuv to hear Parshat Zachor. But it's in the Shul. For the women, it's not there. The women don't have to hear Parshat Zachor. They don't have to hear Parshat Zachor at all. Only those who are chiyuv with the Melchama, right? Why is Zachor Zachor to do what? To Melchama with them, to fight with them. So only those who are chiyuv in the Melchama, which are the men, they have to hear the Kriyat of Parshat Zachor, not the ladies. But the ladies, Nashim B'Shul, Nashim Tzidkaniyot, Neglum Mitzrayim, right? Because of the holy ladies who came out, they want to hear it. They want to get the chus of hearing Parshat Zachor. So they came. So the price can give a heter to take it out for them. And here. No, you can take it out before Mincha and read it. It's not a problem. Don't become more machmer than the poiskin. Okay, if the poiskin says mutar, I said they don't have to. And in fact, there were years that I told my wife not to go to shul. She had a baby, and it was this, and it was that, and it was going hard, and I was giving shear, and it was hard for it to come out and stuff like that. So I told her it's okay. You don't have to read it. You don't have to go to shul and hear it. So it brings in the Yalkut Yosef. You can go to hear Parshat Zachor for the women. They should, if they want it, they still feel like they're missing it. Take a chumash and read it at home. You can read it to them, or they can come Parshas Kiseitze if they hear it from there. But you don't have to. Women don't have to go crazy to hear it. They have no chiyuv to hear Parshat Zachor. But if they want to hear it, follow covered and pick out the Sefer Torah again for them and read it. That's halacha l'maaseh on that. Okay, fine. So next week, Be'ezrat Hashem. Next week we're not gonna do the Tzurba on continuing Kriyat Torah. It's the week before Rosh Hashanah. So Be'ezrat Hashem, what we want to do is to review halachot, practical halachot for Rosh Hashanah, both Rosh Hashanah day, Rosh Hashanah night, the Seder Rosh Hashanah, as well as the Tefillot, as well as the halachot of the Shofarot. Basic halachot, nothing too fancy, but in order that you come into Rosh Hashanah knowing what to do. Okay, I don't like when people come and they have no idea what to do and looking in the machzor, they don't remember from last year. It's important to go through on halachot beforehand. I was zocher for many years to lead the minyan in Ornat Tam Rosh Kippur. So every year I made it my job to go through all the halachot in the Yalkut Yosef on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So I would, you see, my one Yalkut Yosef sefer that has 1 million notes inside is my Yamim Noraim, because I was responsible to answer questions and to know what to do in the shul. So those halachot Baruch Hashem I learned over and over again. But this year I have not yet had the chance to review them all. But Be'ezrat Hashem, I hope to do that. So with your help next week, that would be the plan. We'll go through the halachot Rosh Hashanah. Okay, Shavua Tov L'Kudam. Toda Rabba.
Thank you.
Tov.